right, welcome back to another episode of the Scout Life, the Race Terra edition. If you've been following along, thank you. If not, we are taking scouts back to Baja. We're going to start with this 1976-77 Scout Terra that we've been working on, having fun. So today's episode, we're going to cover installing the transmission, bell housing, transmission, hopefully transfer case, measure for drive shafts, get the rear suspension hung and the rear differential, and then we'll just see where we go from there. Let's get to it. I'm going to slap the bell housing on. All right, this sucker's heavy, but it's so nice being, oh yeah, I got my new dowel from IH Parts America right there. I'm not showing close up, but and again, in case you missed it, the reason I went with red for the bell housing is I don't want to paint anything black because it's hard to see oil leaks and or cracks on things that are black. So and like I said last episode, I just always have this looming anxiety that I'm forgetting something. But I guess the only way to, you can check your work, think things through, sleep on it. But ultimately, the only way to know is fire it up and see what you're missing. Now, I don't know if I said this, but we are going to I don't know. I forget what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm going to tighten this up, torque it down, and then we'll get ready to a Herculean effort of lifting that bulky, hulky T19 onto the bell housing. This sucker's heavy. I really should have two people doing this. Oh yeah, I gotta get the throw-out bearing set up. Let me go get that. All right, let's give this puppy a shot. My age, I'm almost 50, man. I don't want to, well, I'm almost 49. But I don't want to give myself a hernia. All right, that wasn't so bad. Let me adjust the camera because it could be comical watching this. So, all right, let's keep going. I'm just gonna keep the camera rolling. Nothing fancy. So what we're gonna do is get this just started in here, and then I'll put the bearing retainer. Stupid floor is very uneven. Getting creative. All right. told you this is comical. Okay. I'm gonna go a little higher. I'll try to fast forward this. Okay, now we're set up for success. Okay, I'm going to come back a little bit. Get this oriented the right way, and then you have to like line up this fork. What I want to do is shut the camera off, fight this battle on my own, and then roll back to tape and be like, victorious. All right, I think I'm gonna do that. Because this is boring TV, man, watching someone struggle with a two-man task. But lots of people have done this on their own. All right, let's magically come back with it installed. Took me like half hour. You saw in the time lapse, and I'm so close. I could tell it's engaged in the disc, like the input shaft is engaged in the disc, but I'm not quite. I don't have the pilot bearing engaged. So what I'm going to try to do is try to get a nut started and just kind of like shake it on. We'll see. Double check that is engaged properly. All right, got one started. I'm gonna try to go opposite corners. Now I'm just gonna really slowly. And you wanna look at this gap right here and just make sure that it's even. I apologize if this is boring, but anyway, so I won't film, but I'm just gonna snug that in, keep wiggling it, jiggling it, and tightening it. Try to get that gap to close and get that transmission to seat. Let's go. All right, victory. Woo! That was hard, but the cool thing about building a truck is like if you do it right, there's that hopefully high probability that it'll be done right and won't have to come out, but I don't have to do that again. Maybe after race day, we'll see. But Okay, so now next step is to install the cross member. So let's do that. All right, success, man. This is a good feeling. Uh-oh. Let me see what's up with that. But trans is in. I pray I don't have to take it back out. Cross member's in. New hardware on this. You can see the section that we added. So next up, we got to get the transfer case, and I got to reseal the top of this because the side covers, Owen did those. A little messy, but he's a kid. And reseal the top cover, which I'll probably do that next. Throw the clutch spring on. Make sure that's all good, and then we're going to start taking the rear differential out. Get ready for that new bad boy. All right, so I got a little distracted. I know I'm supposed to be working on other stuff, but I got the steering box put on and the Anything Scout steering frame stiffener, and I slapped a ground cable on there. I'm gonna just start grounding. The more grounds, the better. So one interesting thing is this used to sit up around like right there, but now it's sitting down here. So I don't know if this clutch disc is flatter. So I put a pipe on this and just manually depressed it, and the disc it doesn't have a lot of travel. I'm talking full release is short. So I'm gonna build a hydraulic slave master setup. And I was going to get a pusher and push down, but when it was up here, that would work. But now that it's like this, I think I'm gonna get a polar style and actually mount it off of this cover. I'll grab these 3 bolts and set it up here, and it'll pull down, and I'll extend off here and put a return spring and a stop. So it'll be a little complicated, but I'm gonna tackle that before the body goes on. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, I might wrap it up for the day. We'll come back tomorrow. Owen will be here, so it'll be a big thrash day. And we'll definitely get that rear differential installed. I also got bump stops ordered. And yes, it'll be good. Still tons to do. And we might have a visitor helping soon outside of Owen, an enthusiast, just a person in the community. So I'm working a schedule, maybe Friday, him coming down. We got tons to do. Let's go. All right, well, to a new day. Got Owen here, thankfully, so that's awesome. He's gonna be changing out the rear suspension, which is mostly gonna be time lapse. We'll cue in when we need to. And I've been working on some other stuff. I'm rebuilding the oil pump. I'll show you that in a minute. But cue time lapse. That suspension, because yesterday when I was installing that transmission, I kind of hurt my knee. I don't know how. So I'm going to rebuild this oil pump so I can get the oil, even though I think I've shown you this. I'll just show it to you now. This is the oil pan from the Sherman Balch race truck. Super cool, super trick, super beat up. What is that about? It probably got bashed and hammered out, but it's got some cool stuff, you know. So this keeps the oil in the pan, and then there's these drain backs that come from the valve covers, and there's little flappers. So Canton Race Pans is going to duplicate this. So this will be a historical piece. I'm going to ship that there probably tomorrow, and they quoted 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm going to make 3 oil pans, so I might put one up for sale. So if you want to build a race truck, you can get a Anything Scout Sherman Balch race pan. Pretty cool. But anyway, in the first iteration for testing, I'm just going to run it on a regular pan, so I'll just clean that up. And anyway, I won't show all this, but I'll show you. I've rebuilt probably 20 of these pumps, maybe more in my day. They're actually pretty straightforward and pretty robust. Like, internationals rarely ever have an oil pump failure. A common thing, especially back in the day, was in IH SV motors like the 304. Any of the IH motors would start losing oil pressure and ticking, and people would assume that it's the oil pump or a lifter issue. And typically when an IH motor loses oil pressure, 95% of the time, it is cam bearings. So it's a cam bearing failure. Not an oil pump. These oil pumps are pretty robust. So I'm going to tear this down, and then we'll get into the creative part where I die grind off some machining cast marks and clean her up. All right, so we got the rear axle, leaf springs, all the junk. Now we're gonna pop out these stock shackles, and Owen's gonna replace some new bushings, and then we'll start the fun part of assembly. And I also wanted to show you my experiment with this product. This is what it used to look like. That's what it looks like. It's pretty smooth. I think it's ready for paint. For this truck, it's a race truck. I'm not going to paint it until we get all the roll cage mounting setups done. But more progress. All right, Owen's just using a ball joint press right there to press it's the best way to get the bushings out, man. I've personally burned them out, cut them out with a Sawzall, like done all kinds of crazy stuff, but this is the best technique just to use. Let's check it out. The impact just was like rattling and not really doing much, so this is a little stronger. Yeah, this technique's not easy, but it's epic. Let's check it out. You can't really see in there, but she's coming out. It's like a overdue baby. All right, so we'll slap new bushings in. Then the fun part starts. Ooh, I'm going to clean up those spring pockets while we got it off.
What's up, guys? My name is Sean Barber, and today we just got done putting in the rear axle. Guys, this was so much fun, and I'll give you guys a quick look at it. It was a lot. It wasn't that long, and we got it done with my son's help. He came, and my son, he helped me when he came over after working his normal job. I'm super stoked for this whole project, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, welcome to a new day. Owen and I had a great time yesterday. I'm so grateful for his help, and man, he's just interested and he loves hanging out with me. So that's a blessing. That's why we do this, right? Who cares really about the truck, but we're making memories. We're trying to get our kids and our families involved, and it's great. So a couple of things. I decided, I showed you that I started that oil pump. Well, we sent it into an auto shop and had it put in their hot tank, and there's a little piston in there, and like the bypass spring piston, and it was all rusted in there. So I think I'm going to scrap that oil pump, and I'm just going to pull the oil pump out of this motor, and we'll rebuild that. But I wanted to start on the exhaust. So this section is going to be the exhaust system. I'm not an exhaust system expert, but let's tackle it together and see how she comes out. I'm not going to be able to finish it. My goal is just to get the muffler and the start of a tailpipe going. I don't just want to put a simple tailpipe in a downturn, because I don't want to do that. So anyway, let's get started. So what we have so far is we have the header that you guys have seen. I do need to, it's really close. It's not touching, but it's really darn close. I might kick the whole motor over. But the major hurdle to start is we got to clear this bolt. And I don't have a transfer case, but I'm pretty confident I can fit a tube across here, and I am doing 2.5, so it's a little bit on the larger side. I have these hangers. These are factory hangers. I did move this hanger. It used to be in these holes, but I'll show you why I moved that. I want it closer to the exhaust, so just working on, I just cleaned up the muffler so I can weld on it, and let's do some fitting. Okay, also please let me know in the comments, because there's like about 1,500 people that are watching these videos, and that is amazing. To have 1,500 people a part of this process and journeying along is awesome, and I do want to figure out ways to reward the community of people that are following along through some exclusive content or first look, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, so anyway, thanks for following along. So here's what I have so far. I know I want to put the muffler right here, and I know that I'm going to come over the frame right here. Factory it comes under, but I don't want to go under, I want to go over. So I think that's about right. We'll just tack that in right there. All right, and I'm dangerously low on welding gas and wire. I'm using 030 wire. I'm not been able to get this welder super dialed yet. It's got good penetration, but maybe it's just me. Oh, I forgot these, man. My close range vision is jacked. And I guess I'm kind of committed, so I think I'm just going to finish weld this and report back next time we're doing layout. All right, by the way, inspired by others, but specifically Jason Denny, Taco Nacho Dust, I think I'm going to do this exhaust coming out right here because we have this big space on it, and I want the exhaust to get out from underneath the truck. I don't want the heat blasting on the differential. But here I got myself a little jig set up. So in my opinion on doing exhaust, you want to set your fixed points. So I know, and I'll have to jig this up a little better. I know the muffler is going to go roughly here. It's actually not too bad. I'm going to raise it up a little bit, Josh Groban style, and just so if I put a skid plate on it, and I have plenty of room because the drive shaft is lined up with this bull gear, so I have plenty of space there. Let's see if a 2x4 is too. I think a 2x4 is going to be too much. Yeah. Let me cut this 5/8 ply. And like anything, man, I'm not an expert at exhaust systems, but I know like the basics, and if you just solve one problem at a time, you know, so I'm just gonna get the muffler mounted and hung, and then I know I can connect to the muffler. I gotta connect the header to the muffler and clear the transfer case. All right, I'm gonna mess with this for a little bit. Okay, so what I actually am gonna flip this around. So what I'm trying to do is get this S kind of bend in here to get it as close to the frame. I want it like 3/8 of an inch away from the frame, maybe even 1/4. Because the motor mounts, these RPT motor mounts from IH only are really stiff, so the motor's not going to move a whole ton. That's anything Scout Trans mount. It's a little softer, but it's going to be, the twist of the motor is largely dictated by the motor mounts. One thing I still have to do, you guys, is engage the starter. So I'm not sure if the mesh is right. We'll see. But anyway, so I think I'm just going to, well, tack this on. And then move on. I think I'll just try to connect the muffler to the header with mock-up and then finalize the tail section after the muffler is situated. Okay, simple cut. Yeah, I like that. I might go a little shorter actually. Just like take another 3/8 off. And I'll sneak this sucker. The clearance by the transfer case is very tight. Okay, I'm gonna buzz a tiny bit off of this piece. Be right back. All right, tack that up. That's looking pretty good. I'm gonna create a little cardboard spacer just to keep this in place. It's gonna be close, and if it rattles, not the end of the world, but I gotta clear that transfer case. And also, man, if you watch that show Engine Masters, they've proved that a dent, like hammer denting the exhaust, does not hurt horsepower, especially on this low 100 horsepower, 4,000 RPM monster. So if we gotta dent it, we'll do that, but we're gonna get this piece in place next. And I'll have to do the kind of the opposite of what I just did, and that is I'll just burn this up to about here. Getting some ideas. I think I'm going to cut this. Transfer case is 6 inches, so that's about this space right here. Around here I can start kicking again. Alright, I'm going to keep working my way forward. Alright, not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's not terrible. And the only thing I'm nervous about is the drive shaft, which I'm guessing if it sits in the saddle, it's going to be close. I got an idea. I'm gonna go check something out on my other Scout. So I looked at my other Scout, the buckskin, and there's like a lip, a body lip, like right here. So I think I've cleared that, and I'm clearing the bolt. That bolt right there. It's close, but it's good enough for, as my shop teacher used to say, horseshoes and hand grenades. And I feel good about it overall. So I think I'm just going to go for it. And if we got to start, I might put like a strategic dent. I'm going to mark this area, and I might put a strategic bash right here. Right there. And we'll see if I got to put one here. I don't think so. Okay, I'm going to tack this. And I think what I'm going to do is order a V-band clamp. And I'm going to have this whole section, this whole front section, one piece, because I can get that out. And then I'll have the tailpipe a second piece. So I'm going to stop at this today to get this situated, and then order a V-band clamp, and then that way I can take the tailpipe. That's what I'm doing. All right, I'm going to weld this up, tack it, then take it off. Well, I'll tack it, take it off, then weld it. I treated this with this product, Ospo. It's like a prepares rust surfaces for painting. Works pretty good. That's after Owen and I wire brushed everything, as you saw. And we're using this Steel-It paint. Again, great for anything that may require some recoating. Whoa, sorry. Not recoating, but repair. It is, well, I've never experimented with it, but supposedly you can weld right through it. We should do some testing. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to heat wrap the exhaust. By the way, that's the finished exhaust. Well, mostly finished, the front half. I'll do the tailpipe once I mock the body on. I'm gonna get that bolted on, get it final installed, and then we're gonna header wrap it up to the muffler, and we'll install that today, and then we'll keep rolling. All right, so it's a rainy Saturday. I'm just kind of messing around with some stuff today, cleaning up the shop a little bit. But I'm gonna heat header wrap, like exhaust wrap this exhaust. I'm not an expert, I've done it a long time ago, but cue time lapse, let's roll. All right, so again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not really sure how much you're supposed to overlap. This is about half of the width of the material, and I kind of cut it too short. So I'm only gonna go to about here. So I just want to keep the heat off the transmission and transfer case and floors. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so this is the front front half, I don't know, 2/3 of the exhaust system. I don't know if the high temp paint will hold up. Try to stagger the hangers, like this hanger comes off of this side, that hanger comes off of that side. I don't know. It's a little tight clearance. Like when I mocked it up, it was off a little further that way. But I guess I can slide these hangers a little bit. So I'll kind of fine tune that once I put the transfer case in. And I think for the rest of the day today, I'm going to drain the oil, start taking the oil pan off, and then it's New Year's New Year's Eve, and I figure I'll probably call it a day. As I reflect on 2022, it's been a good year, I know for a lot of reasons, but yeah, this Baja vision, the dream of bringing scouts back to Baja is gonna be a big part of my life for the next, Lord willing, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. See how much Owen gets into it. I'm having a blast. And the vision that I have for this truck is like, the old timer mechanic back in the 70s who had a full-time job, had a family, and wanted to just go race Baja. Didn't have big corporate sponsors, although I'm open to that in the future. But for now, it's just a dude and his son and some friends in his humble garage. Oh, my hair is jacked. Building the race truck, tapping into as much wisdom as I can find, as much resources I can find, and it's been fun to kind of go on this journey with you guys. So keep commenting. I really like it. Helps me stay motivated and get good ideas. So let's keep rolling into 2023. It's going to be fun to keep watching the process unfold. We got a lot of work to do. All right, welcome to a new day of working on the Race Terra. I'll show you what's going on. We have a visitor in the shop for the first time outside of Owen, so it's a bit exciting day. But I'll show you what we're going to work on today, and we'll have some fun. Everyone, this is Brad. Brad's helping out today very graciously. He's just a friend and has followed progress, and he said, hey, I'll come help you. So man, I appreciate that, and it's awesome to have more voices, more minds. He's got some good experience outside of my old school mentality, so it's been good. He's basically installing one of our Anything Scout clutch master cylinders, which is going to be the start of our clutch conversion process from mechanical to hydraulic. Then he's also going to mount up here, I'll show you this. The master cylinder, which doesn't fit. Going with an aluminum dual bale, lightweight, 6 ounces. And we're keeping the stock pedal assembly. We'll get all this done, and then next week we'll start on the floors. So here's the kit that we've developed. Essentially, it's a bracket that with a master cylinder that shares these 2 bolts from the brake pedal assembly. Then we're going to add 2 holes over here, and it's pretty straightforward. And then on the inside, there's a tab that takes that from up and down movement to front to back movement. All right, so I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is the oil pan. I think I've talked about it from the IH factory race truck. It's pretty cool piece of old tech. Again, these tube inlets are drain backs from the valve covers. And I have all that stuff. So Canton is gonna duplicate this for me. But one of the questions, because it's a part that I don't have, is what oil pickup. And I just pulled this pan off the 196, which it looks pretty clean. There's a little bit of moisture in there, which didn't surprise me. I don't see any metal. Some dirt in there. So I have 3. So I'm gonna send Canton a factory pan and this pan so that they have a point of reference. I'll probably send them the degrease one, and I'll just clean this one. But I think how this goes in there is this, I think this pickup tube goes through here, and this, I'm gonna go fit it on the motor right now and see how it goes. I'll let you know. Okay, so here's what I'm learning. This race pan uses a proprietary pickup tube that I hope I have. But what I think I'm gonna tell Canton is to rethink this and stick so that we can use factory pickup tubes, because there's nothing wrong with these pickup tubes. And what we've also learned is that this mounting bracket for the pickup tube is perfectly in line with these 2 bolt holes, which is good on IH Smart. And look at that. It really sits about 1/8 of an inch off the bottom of the pan.
So that's interesting. So these two pans are going to go to Canton, and we'll do a hybrid of the two, because I don't really want one-off proprietary parts on this truck, generally speaking. So let's say we lose oil pressure on the race and we break a pickup tube. Not likely, but possible. Or I hit a rock on the pan and break the pickup tube. I don't want to have one-off parts in that scenario. So using a stock pickup tube with a stock rebuilt oil pump and a modified pan. Canton's going to make me 3 of these pans. So another discovery is this line right here represents the full line. So I wanted to see how much could you safely overfill an IH motor, and that is still very much in the safety zone, because the crank sits about the large lobe on the crank sits about a 3/4 to 1 inch above this deck. So in my opinion, and this is something I'll change in my regiment, is 100% you could safely overfill this 1 quart, 1 to 1.5 quarts. So I figure that's a safe thing, and because capacity is important in a race environment. And with this side sump, if I get up to holding 8 quarts or so, that'd be a pretty nice, because it'll hold 6 factory, I think up to 6.5, and then another 1.5 with this sump addition. So anyway, that's our oil pan project. It's going good. Been a lot of fun. Let me give you an update. Woo. Brad's been wrenching away. Got our clutch set up, just about done. Got to do a little bit of clearancing, but that's pretty trick. All the pedals are lined up. This is what it's going to look like. Super lightweight. Maybe I'll let him finish it on his next visit, but we got this Willwood prop valve set up that I think that prop valve, Brad, will bolt off the bottom of here and sit right underneath here.
Yep.
So we'll just run our hard lines into there, and then we'll leave the hard line for the rear when we make that, leave it long. That's about right here. That's the factory bolt that holds the hard line. And we'll just leave it long. And fun stuff. I also got my V-band clamp, so I'm gonna weld that V-band clamp on, and then set myself up for doing the tailpipe. It's been fun having someone else in the shop. Brad's super knowledgeable, cool to hang out with. It's nice to talk shop and wrench and get some extra hands. So that's our report for the day. Time to rebuild this oil pump. All right, welcome to a new day on the Scout Life. The days all blend together. This is gonna be a 50-part video series. But I've been doing some digging on oil pans, as you guys saw. What's interesting is this is an 800. I didn't know this, but I determined that I think this is an 800 oil pan, and the way you know is because it has these large nuts. Cue the nut joke. What's also interesting, and this makes sense due to the height of a 800, is this is actually taller, like more room for the axle than the Scout 2 version by about 1 inch. So this sits lower, this sits higher. So I was like, I think this could be a good, because I'm trying to get clearance for the axle. However, this pickup tube, I test fit it on the motor, and this pickup tube, which is the stock Scout 2, and didn't really fit. So what I'm doing, just in case the Canton angle doesn't work out, I just want to show you what I'm doing. I'm not going to overly film it, but I'm going to make my own kind of baffle. So here's the race oil pan.
This whole baffle system is designed to keep oil in the sump. So when the truck is rocking and rolling, jumping and ripping at 4,000 RPMs, the oil will stay in that sump and you won't have oil starvation issues. So I'm looking at this big sump and I'm like, do we really need all that stuff for this application? And so here's my idea. Because the oil can flow into the front sump and it will equalize a little bit. But in an effort to keep oil in the sump, I figured, what if I make a baffle like this so that if oil splashes back up, this way it'll stay in the sump, but oil can still freely run from the front into the back. What do you guys think? I'm gonna kind of do it anyway. I might make it smaller, but what do you guys think? Am I crazy? Is it a good idea? I'll post this video soon and I'm gonna do it, so it might be a little retroactive, but it will. I can easily get another oil pan. I have tons of them. So anyway, that's my thoughts and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so I just test fitted it and it fits, I don't know, fits well, fits as it should. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish weld this and call it our first old school Race Tech oil baffle. Again, any insights, like, I don't know if I should do a couple hole saws in this, but I think, again, the theory is this front sump is useless. It doesn't all, its only purpose is to house the oil pump and to add some capacity and maybe cool the oil pump because it's sitting in oil. So that's maybe strategic. And this would help on going downhill. Oil is going to flow to the front of the pan because when it's going uphill, oil is going to drain back. So I think this is a pretty good design. This leaves provision for both the dipstick and the oil fill tube. And we're gonna give her a go. Pretty stoked. Old school Race Tech happening here. Okay, so check this out. We're a little low on oil, but I want to show that the example of how this baffle works. Okay, so we're ripping at Baja 30 miles an hour, 4,000 RPMs, and we come down a steep hill. Now see how it's slowing it down? Still gushing out a little bit, but it's keeping oil in the sump, and oil's thicker than water. Then we cruise up a giant hill, oil runs nicely back to the sump. Sump is full. Uh-oh, then we go downhill again. Downshift. Pretty epic, man. I'm stoked. I'm guessing that this is how they figured stuff out back in the old days. Just did it and experimented. And this is also helpful to clean it out. I'll probably add some dish soap in here, and I just don't want any little weld balls to be in here. Anyway, pretty fun. Then I'm gonna get painting and then rebuild that oil pump and get this back together, because I got some other fabrication to do, and I don't want to do the fabrication I need to do without an oil pan on the motor, because I have to make my clutch slave cylinder mount, and I don't want to weld with no oil pan. So keep cranking. Okay, and sorry for the background noise, but just wanted to show you I've been working on the oil pump. First off, you just want to clean everything very thoroughly. This was actually pretty clean. And then I like to take a file and just in a very crosshatch like way is resurface this. And what I found was like there was definitely high and low spots. So you get that trued down without taking a ton of material. You wouldn't want to put it on a belt sander or something like that. Then the next phase is just cleaning up casting flash in these areas. Just think about the flow of oil. There was pretty aggressive casting flash right here. Actually, it was like a vertical 1/4 inch tall lip. Then right here there was a decent amount of casting flash, and right there. So you're just kind of, I use the term very loosely, but blueprinting the oil pump. Okay, then I'm going to continue the reassembly Our oil pan is almost painted. I'm gonna let that dry now. And my goal today is to get this oil pump, oil pan assembly back on so we're ready to run. And check this out. We got our PSC race column in, so I'm super stoked on that. Things are coming together, man. It's slow. I feel still overwhelmed, but every day I just got to keep making progress. Thanks for following along. All right, it's got the pan all painted, gasket adhesive on. I'm going to spot our TV, like at the main caps and the timing cover on the block. Got the oil pump done, rebuilt, and then I primed it enough. I'll prime the motor before I start it. I'm gonna go slap this on now. Hope for the best. All right, it's hard to see in this light, and I've been not filming a ton because it's just putting on an oil pan, but everything's fitting well. I ended up having to take the distributor out, which I should have thought about. And it's good for two reasons. Number one, to prime it. Number two, it was difficult to get it lined up. So oil of choice, I have a friend who is hooking me up with this Motul. It's very high quality oil, expensive mostly for motorcycles, but it's a 1550 synthetic. We're gonna give it a shot. So I'm gonna oil her up, prime the oil pump, just until I have an open port over here. So I'll just wait till I get oil out of here, I guess. And then I'll just crank it till I get oil pressure before I start it. But this will get the oil pump all primed. All right, let's go. All right, thanks for watching another episode of the Scout Life Race Terra edition. Man, I appreciate so much your following along and your support. Please leave comments if there's innovative ideas you're thinking of as you watch this, or there's things that I'm forgetting. That'd be really helpful, and be cool to have your mark on the truck if I implement one of your solutions. Next video, we'll be tackling the clutch, the second half of the clutch system, on the bell housing, and hopefully we get a big shipment of axle and transfer case, and then we can get going on lower shock mounts, bump stop plates, like all the fun go fast stuff. And then also Owen and I are going to tackle the floor pans. So kind of miserable, dirty work, but it's got to be done. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you're making progress on your project, whether it's on your house, your Scout, your project, your daily driver, whatever, your relationships. Anyway, see you next time.